Hello, we're going to talk about impersonal forms of the verb that are divided into three: infinitives, participles, and gerunds. So let's start with infinitives. So, for Baskerville and Sewell, infinitives, like participles, have no tense. When active, they have an indefinite, an imperfect, a perfect, and a perfect definite form. And when passive, an indefinite and perfect form. To express action and connected with a subject. Eastwood adds that an infinitive can be a bare infinitive, for example, play, or a to infinitive, for example, to play. There are also perfect and continuous forms. Now let's see the uses of the infinitive. The first one, the infinitive may be used alone, as in we began to walk. The second, part of an infinitive phrase, as in we began to walk down the road. Third, the infinitive may be the subject of a sentence or the complement of a verb. For example, his plan is to keep the affair secret. Fourth, the infinitive may be the object or part of the object of a verb. It can follow the verb directly. For example, he wants to pay, or follow the verb plus object. He wants me to pay. Fifth, be plus infinitive can express commands or instructions. Sixth, the infinitive can express purpose. Seventh, the infinitive can be used after certain adjectives. For example, angry, glad, happy, sorry, fortunate, etc. 8. The infinitive can connect to clauses. 9. The infinitive can sometimes replace relative clauses. 10th, the infinitive can be used after certain nouns. 11th, the infinitive can be used with to, enough, and certain adjectives or adverbs. And finally, an infinitive phrase such as to tell the truth, to cut a long story short can be placed at the beginning or end of a sentence.
I will present you the two ways of forming the infinitive form of the verb in English. The first way is called verb infinitive, which can be placed or found after the modal verbs like, for example, can, shall, should, must, might, may, would, could. An example could be, I could swim when I was 6 years old. They can also be placed or found after perception verbs, like, for example, feel, hear, or see and watch. An example could be, I feel you arrive. They can also be placed or found after the conjunction and when the first verb before the conjunction has the to infinitive. So, for example, I like to dance and sing when I am taking shower. So you can say that the first verb, which is dance, has the to infinitive, to dance, and the second verb has a verb infinitive because I just said sing. Well, the second way of forming the infinitive form of the verb in English is called to infinitive and is the most commonly known. The to infinitive can be found or placed after some adjectives like glad, sorry, or angry. For example, I'm glad to see you again. You can see that after the verb glad, the to infinitive is to see, is the infinitive form of the verb. The infinitive form in to infinitive can also be placed or can also be found after some nouns like, for example, ability, demand, or desire. For example, his ability to play soccer is amazing. You can see that after the noun ability, the verb play has the to infinitive form.
Baskerville and Sewell said that participles expressing action may be active, passive, or perfect. They cannot be divided into tenses, present, past, etc., because they have no tense of their own, but derive their tense from the verb on which they depend. First of all, the active is the ing form. For example, I heard you screaming. Second, passive is a form such as covered, annoyed, broken, left. For example, Tom was annoyed about the accident. And the perfect, for example, having waited an hour, the crowd were getting impatient. According to Eastwood, a participle can be an ing form like playing, that would be the active participle, or a form like played, that would be the past or passive participle. And participles can also be used as adjectives. For example, running water, floating wreckage, dripping taps, leaking pipes. Also, there are two kinds of participles, the present participle and the past participle, and he stated the following uses for both of them. First, the present participle, its structure is the infinitive plus ing, for example, working, loving, surfing, etc. Now let's see the uses of the present participle. We have to form the continuous tenses, for example, he is sleeping, as adjectives, boiling water, after have plus object, for example, they have me singing for them. Sometimes can replace a relative pronoun, for example, a king that rules the north or a king ruling the north. Some, such as adding, pointing out, reminding, can introduce a statement in direct speech. For example, you told me to arrive soon, reminding me that the doors could be closed. After verbs of sensation, see, hear, feel, smell, etc. For example, I thought you saw me running. After catch, find, and leave plus object. For example, we caught her telling lies. Or I found you kissing him. After go, come, spend, waste, be, busy, etc. We went camping last week. It came flying over me. I normally spend 10 minutes eating. And now the past or passive participle, that it's formed adding ed or d or en to the infinitive. Now let's see the uses of the past participle. We have as an adjective, for example, delivered pizza. To form the perfect tenses, infinitives and participles and the passive voice. For example, he has gone. To have desired. It was left. And the past participle can replace a subject plus passive verb, just as the present participle can replace subject plus active verb. For example, he goes out. He is guarded by the police. He goes out, guarded by the police.
It's the gerund expresses action, such as the verbs, but this form of the verb can be governed as a noun because it can be the subject of a verb, can be the object of a verb, or can work as a preposition. So you can see in the following examples how it can work as a subject even though it expresses actions. The first aspect to take into account is that the gerund form of the verb is formed by using the base of the root of the verb plus adding the ing form, just as we tend to do it when we are using the present progressive of the verb. You see, it's a gerund, and when we are using the gerund as the subject of a verb, we can say like swimming is very good for health. We can also see that gerund can be placed after the preposition, like preposition plus gerund, when you say something like I am keen on practicing intimate. You see that the word practicing is after the preposition on. We can also find the gerund form of the verb when you want to say an adverb, send another phrase after the gerund. For example, I enjoy watching movies with my girlfriend. You see that the gerund form watching is preceding all the adverbial phrase. The gerund can also have a subject. For example, in the sentence, she doesn't mind him playing soccer with his friends. You can see that the verb playing have the subject him, you see? And the other aspect to take into account is that the gerund of the verb can also be placed after some determiners. For example, in the sentence, coronavirus is what is trending now. In that sentence, you can see that trending, the gerund trending, is after the preposition is what is after the determiner is what is. Okay, that's it. Thank you.